if someone is like born and whatever happens to them anyways, they come to a point in their life where like their mind is twisted in such a way that they're a sadist. They're like, they enjoy other people's pain. And then they get saved. Like, maybe just not being a sadist is what God expects from them. I don't know why I picked sadism for that example, but whereas for like me, like God expects a lot more than that. I'm just not a sadist. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's in my opinion, like a biblical concept that we don't think about too much. You know, like what has God given to me, and that raises the bar. And I don't think like when we're comfortable, I don't think we want to hear that.
Yeah.
That the bar might be raised because God has poured a lot of truth and love into our lives.
Eleanor read this for us, but we're going to dare to read it again. Bones on the floor of the valley, bones that were very dry, and he asked me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I said, Sovereign Lord, you alone know.
Well, Joe, it's been a little bit since we've recorded an episode. You excited?
I'm very excited.
Me too. I don't have a plan for this episode, and it sounds like you don't really have a plan either.
No, I don't.
But I'm glad that we're here recording.
Barely showed up.
Yep. Yeah, so took about 3 months off, and I think our second season, as we've been calling it, is going to be a real banger.
Sorry. No plans. It's going to be a banger. Continue.
Right. So, we just want to thank everybody for listening to the podcast and all the awesome feedback that we've gotten. People have been asking us when we're going to start again, and we didn't even know, so we couldn't tell them. But,
Yeah.
now that we're back, I guess we can tell them that it's coming soon. So, if you're watching this, it's coming back.
Here you go.
All right, Jerra. You had something you wanted to say about the people who are close to meeting the Lord.
Well, I didn't put it that way. If you are a seasoned... Is that a camera? What is that?
Yeah, it's a camera.
Oh, wow. That's...
Just space age technology.
That's real. It's fancy. If you are a seasoned member of New Life, we urge you to please come and be interviewed on our podcast. We really want people with lots of life experiences. And so we invite you to please come. We're going to probably try to talk to you on Sunday to invite you. Please say yes and come on the podcast because you have lots of wisdom and we want you to share that with us younglings, chicks.
Yeah, and by seasoned, she doesn't mean necessarily a long time at New Life, but just a long time on this earth.
Yeah.
We're trying to not say old.
Old isn't bad. Vintage, that's, well...
I don't know about that. It sounds like you're going to drink their blood or something.
Sounds like I'm going to sell them for lots of money.
I guess.
That's not what we're doing here. So today we're interviewing Joseph Jurgensmeyer. He has lots of new cool things happening in his life, so we're going to do an update. And we totally planned to do him today on the podcast. So we have lots of awesome questions prepared, and I'm very excited to get into it. Are you excited or are you nervous?
No, I'm excited. I'm here. 100% here. Yep.
Okay. So my first question is, how are you really doing?
How am I really doing?
Yeah, how are you really doing?
This is the question I told you not to ask me. Not for any specific reason.
Because you want to hide.
But I feel like too many things have been happening in my life for me to even reflect, have time to reflect. Like especially these past 3 weeks have just been one thing after the other.
But what's been happening in the past 3 weeks?
Well, the first thing was we found out that we were having a girl.
Yeah.
Elena and I are having a girl. And I was just really hoping for that. At least a part of me was really hoping for that. Just because, Arthur's great, but you gotta collect them all. Gotta get the full set, the boy set. And the girl. Then you've done your duty to humanity.
Yeah.
Repopulated Earth. And so I was looking forward to that. finding out the gender in general, but really excited that we are having a girl. And then, well, I guess like the day before we found out that we were having a girl, like two nights before that, I applied for a job, and then just kind of out of the blue. And then the next day, the guy called me and was like, "Hey, can you come to an interview in like 2 hours?" And I was like, "Well, sure. I guess I'm flexible." And so I had an interview that day, and we went to Costa Rica at the end of that week for 2 weeks with the missions trip and the vacation, and that was really awesome and just kind of life-changing in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I'd like to get into that more later on.
And getting back from Costa Rica, I started the new job because they offered it to me and I accepted. And now I'm at the end of that week, the first week of this job, and it's been kind of also a life-changing week, I feel like. So I don't really have the ability right now to say how am I really doing, but I'm just
He's doing
excited.
He's changed.
I'm changing.
He's changed multiple times.
I have molted and
Different
emerged
guy.
as a butterfly.
Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's New Life Community Church, butterflies.
You should have been a butterfly before that then.
I guess. Butterflies can go back in the cocoon and then...
That is not true. They live for like 2 weeks and then they die.
So I don't have a lot of hope.
It's not a long time for you. I don't think you ever said what which Power Ranger you are, and that was the question. Wasn't? No, Ninja Turtle. I'm sorry.
I never watched Power Rangers, so I couldn't tell you.
Neither did I.
Definitely
really.
not the pink one.
Okay. Which Ninja Turtle are you?
Yeah. Well, see, like when I was a kid, I really liked Raphael, the red one. I don't know why. Maybe because he was just the coolest one. And all the other ones were kind of derpy.
Okay.
Probably because he was like angsty and rode a motorcycle and
Cool.
He was cool. I don't think I'm that cool. So, but I'm definitely not Donatello, like the smart one.
Why? Is it because he's smart or?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're smart.
Yeah, in some ways.
Okay.
Occasionally. And Josh's favorite was always Michelangelo when we were kids. And so I don't feel like I can claim that one.
Yeah. It's spoken for.
And Leonardo, the blue one with the katana, he's like pretty cool, but also like he always had some like weird moral things going on where he wanted to do things the right way.
Yeah.
And that's it's just not really me. So
no.
So yeah, probably Raphael.
You've really thought this through.
Yeah, he has anger problems. I wouldn't really say I have anger problems, but otherwise.
Nobody's perfect. You can't be cool and like patient.
Yeah.
Gotta have something. So has your favorite color and what it says about you changed at all?
Well, I have no idea what I don't were we even asking that question? The very first episode?
I don't think so. So here you go, you should answer.
Well, no, I was the second episode, wasn't it? Wait.
Yeah, wait. Oh, I don't know.
I can't remember. Our listeners probably know. Anyways, my favorite color and what it says about me, whatever my answer would have been back then has probably not changed. But.
And what do you think that answer was? Or would have been?
I feel like I did answer this question, though.
I feel like you said green. Because
some shade of green.
Outside.
Yeah. I feel that's ringing a bell. We'll just say like, I really like the colors on this plant. Actually, it's really nice, like the pinks and the light greens, with like dark greens too.
You guys have those colors in your house. You have pinks and...
Yeah. I mean, I don't choose the colors in my house.
But you like it. Live with it.
But,
You said blue.
did I?
Yeah.
I said blue.
But I really do like blue. I think blue is one of my favorites.
Well, I've been correct.
Liar! Fake news.
I like all colors, so I don't think
You did
that.
say that too.
Okay. Gosh, well, I'm being audited.
We have real-time fact checkers on this show.
Yeah, you can trust us, guys. Whatever we say is the truth. Yeah. So, not much has changed there.
You just gave a whole different answer.
Well, it's pretty much the same.
Okay. So I wanted to kind of go back to some of the things we talked about in your first episode, and then move forward to like what you're doing nowadays, and maybe go back into some things in your past. And I remember one of the things we talked about was your job and how you got into it. And now you were saying you're in a new job. So how did that happen, and why did you apply for a new job?
Yeah. So, been working construction since I got out of high school, pretty much. And I got into it not really like planning on it being a super long-term thing, but not really like minding if it did, because I didn't know what to do with my life. And those feelings of not knowing what to do with my life have followed me for a while. But yeah, I think so the past year and a half, which it kind of amazes me because I will talk to people I think we as people are so self-centered, we think people automatically update on what's going on with us.
Yeah.
Because there's people, I'll talk to people in the church and they're like, oh, you still working for Lane? And it's been 2.5 years maybe since I've worked full-time for Lane. Which Lane was the boss that I started with doing construction. Anyways, so yeah, that's kind of showed me a little bit of my self-centeredness that I just assumed people
know about you.
Either know about me or talking about me or something. I don't know. But I think that's why someone invented Facebook, but I don't have Facebook, and I don't
Yes,
really.
you do.
Well, I have been forced to make a Facebook account. That is correct. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, I was talking about a year and a half ago, I started my own business, or started working on my own, and lots of people in the church have benefited from that and me doing their projects around. But I think one thing that's been really difficult for me is being motivated by making money. I know a lot, some people like Scott, who we interviewed, it's not that he's driven to make money because he loves money in his heart and it's an idol in his life. It's he's driven to make money because it's it's a pointer that he's succeeding, and that's what he wants to do. Is he wants, if he's gonna do his business, he wants it to succeed and grow. And it's
and because he wants to give it to people and take care of his family, and
So but I feel I don't have that that drive to be successful in making money, and so that's made it a little difficult to feel like I'm running a successful business. I obviously am paying the bills and that, and I do good work, and that's at least what people tell me. I actually, one of the really awesome things that happened recently was I did a job for my grandparents, my Grandma Joe and Grandpa Jerry.
your paternal grandparents.
Yeah, my dad's parents. And it was just a small job. I was fixing their PVC sink, which had some nicks in it. Anyways, which if you didn't know PVC sinks existed, I did not know they existed until then as well. But anyways, this is just a really small thing, but it kind of says something about me. After I finished the job, they gave me like the check in an envelope, and I opened it up, and there was just this little handwritten note from my grandma that said like, "You do good work, Joseph. Love you." And it's like I put it up in my bathroom, and it's like every time I look at that, I feel so good. Like, yeah, I do good work, because that's definitely something that I think anybody struggles with, no matter what they do. Like, they can see other people and be like, oh, that person's better or faster at what I'm doing than me. Or even if you don't see someone that's better or faster, you can imagine someone being better or faster. And so I'm definitely, if we were to talk about love languages, like words of affirmation. So I don't know, like.
So you're saying the note meant more than the amount they paid?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I didn't put the check up on my.
Well, it's no good there.
Anyways, what I was talking about is like my motivation and my drive, and like it's not really there for trying to make a lot of money, and I feel like that left some discontentment in me that like I struggled with for a while. And like I think we kind of talked about in the last podcast how like I'll get really obsessed with something, and sometimes, especially like a while back before I kind of realized how dumb I was, a lot of times I'd think, well, if I'm passionate about this, it should be a career or something like that. Like I can make agroforestry a career, or
I remember that phase.
or I mean I can't really say that it's like way in my past, because I definitely have those thoughts about like designing board games too, more recently. And
well, didn't you mention that your mom was always trying to tell you like you can't make money doing that growing up as well? Whenever you told her what you wanted to do, it was.
I think she mostly just told me that when I said I wanted to be a professional video game player.
Okay, well, Mom, that's not true anymore.
Yeah, I should have gotten on the Twitch train earlier.
Yes, you should have.
It's too late now. Yeah, so I think there's that level of discontentment of like not having something that I was really motivated towards, like as a part of my occupation. Like obviously I'm motivated to make money to like pay bills and take care of my family, and like that's something I've discovered more so in the past like 3 years since I've been married, as a very strong motivational force. Anyway, so like this level of discontentment has always made me like think about, well, maybe I could try this thing over here, or do whatever, go back to college or whatever, which I don't think I would really. Well, I would enjoy going back to college, but I don't think it would necessarily benefit me. It could. Anyways, that's not the point of what I'm trying to say. So the job that I applied for.
Wait, so.
Okay, sorry.
What you're saying is that you know now that you need to make money because you have people to feed, and so, but you also know you're not content with what you're doing. So you keep trying to find things that will satisfy both that I take care of my family and I am happy or feel content.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily like the kind of work that I'm doing. Like I enjoy doing construction. I think it's more like the purpose. Like there's I don't think this is necessarily true, but there's definitely like a part of me that is like felt like I'm taking advantage of people because I'm taking money from them, but I'm also providing them a service. So it's like, it's really, I don't think my brain was made for being a businessman. I don't think you can be a successful businessman and feel that way. I know that's like something you can overcome, and I definitely have overcome it some, but yeah. So does that answer Can I move on?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, the job that I applied for is I'm working at a nonprofit in town called Hope CDA, which I really don't like acronyms, but CDA just stands for Community Development Agency. So it's like, why even put that on there? It doesn't even mean anything. Anyways, I hope my employers don't listen to this. But you can't just call your organization Hope either, so.
Well, why not? You could. Sorry.
Well, okay. There's probably like a million organizations called Hope.
That's true.
Yeah, and so what the organization does is it's a addiction recovery program that employs the guys doing construction work and teaching them construction skills, but also just how to be employable. A lot of the guys are recovering drug addicts who are also ex-cons, and they employ the guys doing construction work, mostly fixing up condemned houses in the Wellington Heights area, what a lot of people would call like the slums of Cedar Rapids.
Didn't you used to live there?
Yeah, I did. And it's not as bad as people say.
Joseph is going back to help his people.
Anyways, yeah, and so when I saw that opportunity, I think I kind of had a little bit of a realization of like maybe there is a way to be motivated towards my job, and also like paying the bills. Anyways, which, okay, sorry, I'm getting on too many tangents. And so my job, my position at this job is being a foreman, teaching the guys and leading them to complete projects and whatnot. And so far, after like my first week, I think something that like the biggest thing that has stood out to me, just working with the guys and getting to have just tons of conversations. I guess I will say it's a Christian organization, and like the main goal is to share the gospel and to help the guys become disciples of Christ. And I feel like I haven't really like been directly involved in the Great Commission, like the way that I feel like I should be, for a while. And I feel like,
meaning sharing the gospel and making disciples for the Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like doing that this week and just daily, having conversations with these guys has been like really eye-opening to help me see like, oh, I can not feel the way that I always feel of like, oh, I'm wasting my life, if I'm actually pursuing what God wants me to do. So I feel like there's a way that like I didn't realize that I was spurning my conscience. Like, not saying it's wrong to just work a job to provide for your family, but I've been thinking a lot about the verse of like, whoever has been given much, much more will be expected of them. And talking to these guys, when the base level of understanding is like that they are recovering from addiction or have been incarcerated, like it's really easy to get past surface level things and talk about deep things. And so just being able to have those conversations, and like, I feel like something that God has really been working on my heart with is not being timid. And I feel like going to Costa Rica, like the 2 weeks before starting this job, I feel like God was really working on me there, not be timid, because it's hard to engage with another culture while being timid. Like you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to make any connections. And I really did want to make connections to people in Costa Rica, so I was happy to make blunders and ask stupid questions. And so I think going into this job, I kind of had that same mindset of like, I'm okay with saying stupid things and making blunders. I just don't want to get stuck being timid and overanalyzing things. I just want to act and speak and let God work through that. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like those two things of like every day I am pursuing the Great Commission, making disciples and trying to not be timid, especially in like, confronting people about things or asking hard questions of people.
It probably makes it easy because that's kind of the purpose they're there for.
Yeah.
You're not just going up to a stranger on the street doing that. These are guys who are in this program for this purpose, to learn skills. And they're kind of looking to you to lead them in that.
Yeah. I think that does make it easier, but I mean, I'm hoping that I can continue to grow in that and just be able to.
I'm sure you will.
Not be timid in any situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I keep saying the word timid. For some reason, like, that word just stuck in my head. Like, I think it was like several weeks ago. I don't know. I was in some situation. I was like, just the thought came to my head, like, don't be timid. And I did whatever I needed to do or said whatever I needed to say. And for some reason, that word has been sticking with me. I don't know why. But I, as a person, put like a big emphasis on like choice of words. And so I don't know why that one sticks out to me. But anyways, I feel like I'm really blathering on.
Well, I'm thinking about the word timid. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean scared, right? Like, you're careful, right? Like, it's kind of like scared, but you're careful, you're intentional. I see it as like what I think of in my head when I hear the word timid, like a person is timid, is a little mouse in a big world. And so you have to be like mindful and careful is what I think of. Is that like...
Yeah, but I think there's a point where you can be too mindful.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's what I'm trying to get away from, is...
Where you feel like a mouse, but you're really, I don't know, a bear.
I don't think I'm a bear.
Well,
I just like the willingness to look dumb or sound dumb. Is, I think, like a big step that I've been taking. And like, normally it goes great, when you try and say something to someone or you try to have a conversation with them about something deeper, and try to lead them towards, the truth. It can just be easy, because the thing is like, it's so much easier to not say anything.
Not for me. But go ahead.
To not engage with people, because then you're not putting in the effort of talking with them. But yes, I agree that there's an internal struggle then. If you're not going to say anything, then you're going to have to deal with this internal struggle of, I'm not doing what I feel like I should do, not doing what I feel like I want to do.
Well, and for some people, that's more bearable than for others. Like, that would eat me alive. I wouldn't be able to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, I should say something and I didn't.
Yeah, and I can definitely understand that. I think, like, for me, it's so normal that, like, it is bearable. But, yeah.
So I want to go back to the verse you quoted of "To whom much is given, much is expected." What does that mean to you? Because I've heard other people interpret it a different way. Like I've heard a lady interpret it as, I've had lots of hard things happen to me, and so the Lord would want me to be understanding, gracious, and I've had lots of opportunity to grow, so I should have grown from those experiences. Whereas I know other people who interpret it as, I've been given a very easy life and I've been provided for and I've been very secure. And so in that, I should look out for other people and I should provide for other people and take care of other people. So how do you understand that verse?
Yeah, well, in this specific context, interacting with guys who come from, like, a very broken background, like, whatever happened in their life pushed them towards, crime or drug use.
Which, by the way, is it illegal to be on drugs, or is it selling drugs, or?
Yeah, there's possession.
So but what if you've already used it? Is that illegal? Like if you had it but you don't anymore because it's in your system?
I don't know.
Not that I'm looking into that.
I think they only go off of possession, but
possession and like selling and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's only with, like, certain drugs, like illegal drugs.
Okay. Yeah.
Controlled substances. Anyways, what was I talking about?
I don't know. I forgot.
You asked me a question.
I know. Much to whom.
Oh yeah, the verse. Yeah. So, I grew up with two loving parents who loved me, loved each other. I grew up in a family that all of us are Christians and we love each other. In a church that, values authentic Christianity, not just like a whitewashed version, that really values the gospel and really values confronting sin and showing grace to people who are humble. And all of that has, shaped, informed me. And even just, growing up in, like, it's not like I can say my parents were ever rich, but we never lacked anything. And so I would say we were rich. And recognizing that, like, so for me, that's like a baseline. Like, that's just normal. That's what everybody should have, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, nobody has that.
Yeah.
And it's just this recognition of, like, that's the way things should be, the way that God designed them to be. And that's not what other people have, but that's what I had. And recognizing that, I could stay very comfortable just in the life that God has given me. I live in America where it's easy to live. In my opinion, it's easy to make money, easy to support yourself. You don't have to sell your soul. And I have relationships that are good that I could just coast in, and, I will receive love. I have people that are easy to love. But there will always be that feeling of, like, I'm not giving to God what he wants me to give. And, like, I know for some people that's like a lie that they believe, that, like, I'm not doing enough for God, therefore God won't love me. And I don't feel that way. Maybe I have felt that way in the past, but I don't feel that way now. It's more that God has given me so much truth and so much love that's been poured into me, and I want to. It's not that I just want to, it's that I have to, I should give that to other people.
Yeah. Like your cup is overflowing and you want that to be
Yeah,
poured into
and
other
I can
people.
try to hold that to myself, but that's only going to hurt me. So yeah, that's kind of how I would interpret that verse, and I think that's an accurate interpretation of that verse, because the other flip side of that verse is that to those who know little, less will be expected of them. And I think
Is that a verse?
yeah, it's Luke. We're talking about Luke 12.
Well, I know the first one. I forgot that. Continue.
Well, that might not be exactly how it's stated, but I know that one thing that is very clearly stated is, those who know, talking about God's punishment, those who know little will be punished little, beaten with few blows. But I think there's also a positive statement of that. But it is just a logical assumption. If much will be expected from those who are given much, well, then you have to say that less will be expected from those who have been given less. And there's also the parable of the talents.
Yeah, I was thinking
where
about that.
Jesus illustrates that.
And so do you feel like in the time that you weren't, you weren't living the Great Commission, or you weren't pouring yourself into other people's cups, you weren't doing the things you feel you were called to, did you feel like you were burying your talents, or like just having them, or like what did that feel like? Or did you just feel incomplete, or did you feel like...
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's different times in my life that I felt that more than other times. I don't know how I would relate it to the parable of the talents, but yeah, I think you can definitely feel that way of like, God has given me this thing. And I'm just specifically talking about like the truth and the love that have been given to me. Like, yeah, I'm not giving that to other people out of fear or out of selfishness, or just because it's easier not to. Anyways, like C.S. Lewis has a really great passage about this. I want to say it's in his book Mere Christianity, that he talks about. I think it is. Maybe it's in the Screw Tape Letters. I don't remember. It's been like a long time since I've read this part of whatever book it is that C.S. Lewis wrote, but for some reason it stuck with me. Like he was talking about like if someone is like born and whatever happens to them, anyways, they come to a point in their life where like their mind is twisted in such a way that they're a sadist. They're like they enjoy other people's pain, and then they get saved. Like maybe just not being a sadist is what God expects from them. I don't know why I picked sadism for that example, but whereas for like me, like God expects a lot more than that. I'm just not a sadist. And so, yeah, I think that's in my opinion, like a biblical concept that we don't think about too much is, like what has God given to me, and that raises the bar. And I don't think like when we're comfortable, I don't think we want to hear that. Yeah. That the bar might be raised because God has poured a lot of truth and love into our lives.
Well, and that there's responsibility on you. People are afraid of responsibility. I would say when I joined your family and I saw that your parents loved each other and they loved you guys, and that they, even though you were adults, they still loved you and they were still generous to their kids. That was really shocking to me. And then that your siblings, they were married and had kids, and that their spouses loved them. They loved their spouses, and then their kids were loved and taken care of. That was just so bizarre to me that was happening. And then I think also in me, it was like, oh, this is possible. Like, this is something that people have. But then I took the other route where I was like, wait, why don't I have that? Or why didn't I have that? Or why did God not give that to me? But It was definitely eye-opening, and then I felt extra blessed being welcome into your family, where it kind of was like God was renewing something I didn't have and giving it to me in a different way through a different family. So then I got parents that loved each other and loved their kids, and they were generous to me and took care of me, and now they, my daughter has that. But I definitely, because of Josh, think about that verse a lot also, because now I feel like I have been given so much.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that too, of like, people talk about breaking generational curses. But I think there's also something you said about, like, I have a responsibility to continue a generational blessing.
This is true, yeah.
And, like, that is a choice that I have. Like, will I continue that or will I not? And how much am I willing to put effort into that? And so, like, that's been another kind of eye-opening thing of just making me recognize, like, wow, I should take that seriously. Like, again, it's just kind of the recognition that, like, whatever I thought was baseline, like, normal for everyone is not. Like, it's much worse for most people.
Well, yeah, and you don't see that because God has given you, you don't see that easily because God has given you such a good life, like such a blessing of a life. One thing, so more recently I was thinking about, even when I was in college and like in the Corps, there was just a time where I had no money. Like, I didn't even know how I would pay my bills. I think at the time I was working for the Corps, and I was maybe working for REM or something, but for some reason, not because I was spending all my money, I just did not have any. And God provided so much. Like, people would leave large sums of money on my pillow. The Korean church gave us money to pay for our trip to Texas.
Did you put teeth under your pillow?
I did not. That's the thing. I was an adult. Like, it was over for me.
You can always find some teeth.
I could just take some. Somebody gave me a bunch of money at church, and it always just met my needs. And I was just thinking, like, God provides. I think it might be easier for people who have, like, experienced hard times to realize when they have a really good thing and to see God's hand in that, and to think about that verse of, I've been given so much now, like, I need to give back, because that is my heart in the way the Lord has provided for me through the people in my life, through my husband. But it seems like it'd be harder to be, like, grateful and to have that heart of that you're having of continuing generational blessings, of giving back, of realizing how blessed and lucky you are, if that's all you've ever known and it feels normal to you.
Yeah, definitely. Tie a little bow.
Well, I don't know. I didn't think very much past that, but so would you say you've found a new level of gratefulness for your life?
Oh yeah, I'd say so, for sure. I mean, it's all kind of new too, so it's like, there's always a part of me that's like, will change be permanent? Because I change a lot, and it's not always permanent. But I mean, I think just like, trusting God that, like, He is leading me on the path to be more like Christ and to have more the mind of Christ, and to be thankful and praising God and whatnot.
Well, heart changes are permanent when they come through the Spirit. So even if this job isn't consistent and you find a new thing and whatever, I think the growth you would have had in the recognition, like, you wouldn't unrecognize that. You wouldn't unlearn those lessons. So in that way, you're very consistent.
Yeah.
In your growth.
Guess.
In your growth and understanding. So that is a nice, like, yeah, we could put a bow on that, on your new job and your old job. One thing we did talk about was you trying to find the thing. And we talked about if this podcast would be one of those, like, temporary things. And how do you feel that it has not been, that you have continued to do the podcast?
Yeah, I think I just enjoy doing the podcast. Just, a lot, and also, piece of tape on my foot. That was probably important, right, Nathan? I think a lot of times when I try to do a thing, like learning some new skill or a new hobby or something, like it's myself doing it. And like maybe I'll share something I create with someone else, but I feel like involving other people in doing this podcast, like involving you and Nathan and the people we've been interviewing and people who've been listening to it. I feel like that's more what's not necessarily that like I've found some greater passion for podcasting than anything else in my life.
Yeah.
It's more just like I'm involved other people and I do enjoy it. And so yeah, that has been a good, realization. And I'm sure like some people have been a little worried of like, will the podcast die? Was it just a one-off, one season thing? But if you're listening to this is proof that it has not died yet.
Yes, it's continuing on. I am thinking of like when you have your baby, which I don't know, you're probably not going to be doing a ton. It's going to be Elena doing it, like giving birth and doing most of the caring. But then when I have my baby, like, will I come to this? I don't know. Maybe I'll be the one that.
We could do a podcast episode
With
at the
a baby?
hospital.
Vlog the whole thing.
Vlog the whole thing.
That will not happen.
Maybe we won't bring the cameras.
Maybe it'll be audio only.
That might be even worse. I don't know. Just screaming.
What's going on? That's fun. And then I want to bring up that you were doing board games for a little bit. You were very interested. We tested some of your board games.
Designing board games.
Yeah, and some were maybe enjoyable. I don't remember.
I haven't done anything with that for months.
So is that because like you just don't like it anymore?
I don't know. That was strange. Because I was very interested in it, and like I was listening to all sorts of stuff and like studying things and like working on it a lot. And it wasn't like a week long; it was like a month long. But
and you involved other people though. People like played your games.
Yeah, I involved other people.
And you were going to go to this conference.
Yeah, I guess I was gonna do that. But yeah, I haven't thought about that a whole lot. I still enjoy playing board games, but I don't know.
That's so interesting.
I think since that time, I was thinking more about writing, like wanting to write a novel or something.
Okay.
I didn't really go anywhere. I picked up the guitar again for a couple of days. I wrote some poems, so I cycled back through my normal things.
You're not your mom. Your wife did tell me you were playing the guitar and you'd like just played for a long period of time, like
I do want
a
to.
day or two.
I was really enjoying playing the guitar for those like 2 days.
Yeah.
I think like what was different then was I was just like, I'm just gonna play and I don't really like care what happens. And so that was fun, and I do want to pick it back up, but I haven't had any time going to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And then starting a new job, so I've mostly been reading, spending my time reading. But
that's a good pastime. Well, I feel like your life is so interesting and fun, Joseph, because you do things like this. It's like
I don't know.
you're always doing a thing. That's really exciting to me.
I would think that it would be like boring to people because I don't stick with things, and so like,
I don't care about that.
Yeah, I guess like but myself, I see it as like failure. But I'm sure like for other people, like they're not me, so they don't really care if I fail or not. So
Right.
like,
Well, and I don't like. I guess when I hear you're doing a new thing, I just feel like it's a thing that you're doing. It doesn't feel like a big deal. Like it doesn't feel like anything that you're gonna change your life. Like it's not really gonna affect your family. You're just doing a fun thing that you're interested in now. Except when you were maybe gonna like buy all this land and plant trees and like change your life. That one was scary.
yeah, well, I don't think we could have bought any land anyways, so we were too poor. So God helped us out.
Yeah. So Josh, he does hobbies a lot, and so I feel like you guys share that. And so when you're doing a thing, to me, it's like a hobby that you could stop and then it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. And so I wanted to talk about that you are a father of two, one baby out walking around and the other baby still cooking. So how has that been? How have you felt about that?
Well, I've really been loving spending time with Arthur. I think he's just the best guy ever, you know. Really, like, I'd say the person who I enjoy spending, like, my time with the most is my wife. But, like, right now, like, close second is definitely Arthur. Like, he's just a lot of fun to hang out with. And I don't know. I mean, I know, like, I'm a parent and, like, I'm biased and, like, I can say, like, he's the best thing ever. Like, he's the best baby ever.
Well, you could say that and it'll be true for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like, that's kind of my point is he just brings me a lot of joy. And, like, even with my new job, like, I haven't gotten to see him quite as much, but just because I'm working more consistently. Like, interacting with the guys and talking to them about their past, and, like, a lot of people in broken situations either, like, don't have contact with their children, or their children have even, they've lost custody of them. And, like, I was just thinking about that with, like, Arthur. Like, man, if I didn't have custody of Arthur, or, like, I wasn't allowed to interact with him, that would just be, like, devastating.
Yeah.
So I really feel for people who are in that situation. And, yeah, I love Arthur a lot. As far as our baby girl that's on the way, like,
you say it like that. It's just so cute.
I feel like it'll be different when she comes out and, like, I'll be able to see her. I have been able to, like, feel her kicking some, and that's really nice. I think just, like, I definitely noticed when I found out it was a girl that, like, I felt a lot more connected. Because before it was just amorphous blob, human blob.
That's making your wife sick.
Yeah. But now it's like, oh, it's a girl.
Yeah.
Like, human beings aren't amorphous blob people. They're boys or girls.
Yeah. Well, and it'll be more real when you, like, pick a name for her, too, and you can start referring to her as that, you know, in your home, if that happens.
Yeah. Well, we've kind of got a temporary name. Franny.
Franny. That's a good one.
I kind of like it. Elena doesn't want to do it. The reason that our temporary name is Franny is because we went to the hospital in Iowa City, and we did the ultrasound, found out it was a girl. Well, no, sorry. We did the ultrasound, and we had them put it in an envelope. And then we just found a random restaurant, which we went to, like, an Irish pub, because I like that kind of food. And we brought the envelope there and opened it up when we were eating our food. And the name of the restaurant was two different names, and one of them was Fran. Someone in Fran's Irish pub. Anyways. And I don't know. It's just a funny name. Fran.
And it just stuck. You're a sweet baby girl.
And I feel like Elena's so indecisive about naming children that, like, that might just be the child's name. Because
I just don't see that happen. I don't see her letting that happen.
Like, I like the name. It's not my favorite name. I have some other names that I really like.
Yeah.
They're a little bit off the beaten path.
Coretta.
Coretta. Yeah.
Yeah, that would work. Your dad will be so happy.
I was thinking Vladimir Zelensky.
Vladimir Zelensky.
Just in honor of my dad's life passion.
Dad, I know how much this guy means to you. So we named our baby after him. Your dad will leave you everything to this girl if you do that.
I guess it'd be like Zelensky.
Zelensky.
Oh, speaking of names, this is a big thing that happened in my life that I definitely want to share. I researched the meaning of the last name Juergensmeyer.
Right.
Which for some reason I haven't, like, looked into that, because there's always been this pervasive myth of it meaning city mayor, which isn't true. But that's what my dad has always said, and I've just always taken his word for it. But I think he just says that because it boosts his ego a little bit. That maybe one of our ancestors was a city mayor.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I should give like the full history of the name right now.
I don't think the people care, Joseph.
I don't think the people care.
But give some.
Okay, I'll give a little bit. So, it's obviously German. People know that. And the first part, the Jurgen, Jurg or Jorg or Jurg, is the German or Dutch version of the name George, which is actually a Greek name. It comes from Greek, and us being Protestants, it's not immediately obvious why a Greek name George would make it to Germany, but the Catholics have Saint George, well, the Orthodox do as well. And the book of the Bible, it's like George and the Dragon, or whatever. I don't even know what it's called. It's Saint George killing the dragon. So Saint George was I think he was like a Roman officer or something like that, who was a Christian. Anyways, killed the dragon. He's the coolest guy ever. For some reason, we don't talk about him. I feel like we should. But anyways, so the name George made it up to Germany, which the name George in Greek, sorry, I'm just going with the full thing here, and people just have to live with it.
Just skip the next 30 minutes.
If you don't like etymology. The name George in Greek is Georgios. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but it combines two Greek words. Geo, which like we get like geothermal, geology. This means like earth. And Orgo, I think. Wait. I'm blanking. Anyways, which basically means like to work. So, ergos. There we go. Like ergonomics, which is like the study of movement. And so it basically means the name George means a person who works the earth, which is just a farmer. So the name George just meant farmer in Greek, and that's the first part of Jurgensmeyer, or Jurgensmeyer, is the Jurg part, or Jurg part. And then again, sorry if you're not interested in this, but this was like life-changing for me, so you're going to have to listen to it. The ENS is just a suffix that means son of. So this is the name Jurgens without the Meyer. The name Jurgens would just mean son of George. And then this is the really complicated part, is the Meyer part. It took me a long time to figure out, and I had to use like Google Translate on some like German scholarly papers. Which didn't work very well. So I hope this is all correct. I'm pretty certain it is. But there's a specific area. Okay, this is like way too complicated, so I'm just going to try and go through it real fast. But if you don't understand the feudal system, this won't make as much sense. But Meyer was basically a term that meant it could mean an overseer, but like in the feudal system, which the feudal system was basically like a pyramid scheme where you had like the king at the top and they owned everything and they leased it to lords who leased it to other people who leased it to other people. And down like somewhere in the middle, you'd have a Meyer, which is like that. It's from the Latin, like where we get the word like major. And so they would be like a middle management in the feudal system. Okay. Below like a lord, but not a serf. Anyways, and in this specific area of Germany in Westphalia, somehow the word Meiher, referring to this middle management person in the feudal system, came to refer to the land that person would own, or like a farm. And so then after the and this was after the fall of the feudal. This is why I'm not trying to get into the specifics of it. Essentially, the name Jurgensmeyer means someone who comes from George's son's farm.
Not a city mayor.
Not a city mayor.
Someone who comes from the farm.
Yeah. So hopefully that didn't bore you, but
it's kind of funny because I thought it was city mayor as well, but then Meyer being middle management is just so uninteresting and so unimpressive. Like just a guy doing a normal thing. Like he's not.
Yeah. If anyone has heard the term yeoman used, that's the English equivalent of the Meyer. So, which I'm not pronouncing correctly because I'm not German, but yeah, that's what I got as far as my last name. Sorry, I kind of derailed the podcast.
Well, that's okay. That was shorter than your family chat TED Talk on it.
Yes, I did give a TED Talk Marco Polo to my entire family.
And I was not going to watch it, but I had the hope the whole time that you would tell us. And so we're having a girl. Her name's going to be Jurgensmeyer for a little bit, but not forever. I thought you were getting to that. And then when you didn't, I was like, I just watched this whole thing.
Yeah, that was like the day before we found out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was. But that's interesting. Thank you. I'm sure everybody has been wondering what Jurgensmeyer means.
They gotta. I mean, and like before I found all that out, I've always kind of in the back of my head thought like, man, it'd be nice to change my name to like Jurgy or something. Jurg.
Because it's easier.
Because my name doesn't fit on a lot of official documents.
Yeah.
I have to like really tighten up my writing, and I have terrible penmanship.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, but like after figuring all that out, and also the really cool thing about the last name Jurgensmeyer is that it is tied to a very specific area. Because there's only a very specific area in Germany where this surname with ending in Meyer, like something plus Meyer, meaning from the farm of, it's really like tied to this specific location. And that's what the German scholarly papers were about.
Right. And so why was that life-changing?
Oh, it's just,
Because you're Joseph?
Yeah.
Okay. So going back to parenting and enjoying Arthur, have you guys like settled on a parenting style or like settled on things you really care that he learns or character traits that you really care that he has or some that you just don't care about?
Well, everybody has told us that we are like the most laid back parents they've ever seen. So I think if we have a parenting style, whether we want to or not, it's laid back.
Okay.
And I think like we probably are more laid back in like social situations, especially like at church, because like we trust everybody. And so, and we know people will parent our child if we just let them run amok.
You don't.
So, not like parent our child, but like we don't want to take care of them, but like we know people will keep an eye on him, just like we keep an eye on their kids or whatever. Anyways, so, but yeah, probably a laid back parenting style.
Just kind of let Arthur live his life and do the things he wants to do.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
He seems pretty easy so far, though. He just seems like a good kid. He seems fun and interesting.
Yeah. I try to not think about it too hard and just have fun with him, so. I mean, I still spank him.
I'm sure Elena will. Wherever you're just having fun, she'll stop that.
Yeah. I mean, there's still things that like he gets disciplined for. But
you just like, would you say if you weren't a Christian, you'd be a gentle parent?
I don't know. I think I would be a less gentle person. I feel like I am a gentle parent.
Well, like in the worldly sense of like, you don't spank, you like have conversations, with them. You
No,
let them
I
throw a
don't
fit.
think so.
Honestly, I really think I would be, because I really don't like people telling me what to do.
Yeah, I mean, like, to me, like, being a Christian and my upbringing are maybe two slightly different things. So, like, if I had a different upbringing where, physical punishment wasn't seen in a positive way, which I think is a correct way. Like, I view it in a positive way, even, like, my own experience with it. I think, yeah, maybe I could look at it differently, but...
It's really funny. Whenever Gwen does something that's, like, spank-worthy, she goes, okay, Banks now. Banks now. Can I say you think you need Spanks? And she goes, no. But she knows when it's, like, she's done something that's spank-worthy. Which I feel like, is that a conscience developing, or just she's being taught, right from wrong? I don't know. It's been interesting kind of seeing her to start to learn about, like, caring about people. Like, when she sees people cry, like, she can recognize that. So that's been kind of interesting. She just is seeming to become a full person. And so that seems like there's a lot to do there, because it's a critical time to teach her to care about people. And, like, I don't know, there is a lot of spanking now, but also taking the time to, like, talk about things, which is what I prefer to do.
Well, you are probably the most amazing parent in New Life, because how old is Gwen? She's not 2 years yet.
She's not. She's 21, 22 months.
And she's already potty trained.
This is true.
Except for last night when she peed on her grandparents' floor. But.
Well, she's going through a phase where, I don't know what it is. She knows she's got a potty, but then she just pees her pants. Or when she's about to pee her pants, like right now, she'll say something and then pee her pants. But for a while, she was very consistent. Like, we wouldn't even have to bring her back up close because she was so consistent in doing it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably not the most amazing parent, but just the one that wants to be able to be lazy later on. I like to front load the work. Mm-hmm. Do it now, and then I can be lazy later.
Yeah, that's the opposite of me. I like to be lazy now.
And then do the work later?
Maybe.
Well, it's good you got Elena.
She's pretty lazy, too.
Well, you guys figure it out. Your lives work out. Gwen, this last week, made her first sandwich by herself.
See, this is what I'm saying. Like,
but it's because I want to be in bed. And so if she learns to do these things, then I can sleep. Like, in my earlier pregnancy, I was sleeping. I just passed out. And Gwen was awake by herself. And so in that time, she, like, destroyed a bunch of things. She, took things out of the nightstand and out of the closet. But she had to pee and poop. She went to her potty, peed and pooped in there, and then dumped it and flushed on her own. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine the mess we could have had.
Yeah.
I would have had to call Josh to come home. Like, I wouldn't have done anything with it. Mm-hmm. So.
Maybe it's just Gwen then. Maybe you're a pathetic parent, and Gwen is just really awesome.
Well, that's probably more of the case. I think I just like to front load work and teach her, so that expect that she can do it. Mm-hmm. I think is my thing. Expect kids are more amazing than they probably are, and then maybe they'll rise to the occasion.
Yeah. Some good advice.
Well, so do you feel nervous about becoming a father of two, like when baby girl is born and having two kids to take care of and raise, or do you just feel...
I'm just really excited to meet her. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, not really anxious about anything.
Wow.
Maybe I should be, but I'm not.
No, you shouldn't be. The Lord says don't fear. That's next level
Christianity. I don't know. It might just be my natural inclination that I don't think about the things that could go wrong.
That's either wisdom or stupidity.
Yeah, I think it can be both.
It could be
depending
both.
on the situation. But no, I'm not really anxious about anything. With having another kid. Mm-hmm. I just figure it's really impossible for me to imagine a situation where we are as a family out on the street with no food to eat. Mm-hmm. And nowhere to stay in the winter and freezing to death. the reason I say that, like, I can't imagine that is because of just all the people in our life that, like, would help us out if things were hard. And, like, obviously, you know, our whole society could, like, fall apart and nobody could have anything, but I still feel like having the people around you, like, you're going to figure something out.
It just feels like such a dad perspective. I feel like my thing would be, well, how do you, like, feed them and work out naps and their character building and, like, keeping them entertained and the fighting and making sure this one feels loved while there's a new baby.
Yeah. I just feel like we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Before the podcast, we were talking about starting to ask guests, which we probably won't, what their biggest regret in life is. And so I'm wondering, what is yours?
I don't know. I feel like a part of me, I wouldn't say this is like my biggest regret. I mean, like,
Put me on the spot a little bit there.
every time I've ever sinned, I regret that. But also, you know, God even uses our sin. Like, I've said a lot of times in my life, like, I don't really have regrets.
Yeah.
Because, I don't think that's necessarily true, but because I see how God uses our sin to push us towards repentance. And it's not always even just the, like, negative consequences that come from our sin, which there are, but I think sometimes us sinning can open our eyes to, oh, like, I was ignoring God this whole time, and now it's real obvious. So God even uses that. So I don't feel like I have any huge regrets. But I do feel like I can have lots of small regrets of, like, man, I wish I had said this or even said this that way, or, like, I wish I was more diligent in this thing so that I could be better at it or whatever.
Well, I guess maybe a better way to put it would be if you could go back to a point of time in your life, you know, kid or preteen, teen, young adult, middle adult. Maybe you're a young adult. I don't know. And you could offer some words of encouragement or warning. Look, what would you say to that you? If you want me to pick one, I'd pick maybe preteen or teenager Joseph. Or whenever you feel you were hurt and you needed something outside of yourself. What would you say if you could appear before that Joseph? What would you say to him?
Yeah, I don't even know. Because it's like, one thing I think about is, like, I feel like the biggest lessons I've learned in life, I've had to learn through experience and through, like, my conception of things suddenly not fitting the facts. And then realizing, like, oh, I've heard about this. Like, I think a good example is, like, you know, I had a crush on Elena for several years, and like, in my mind, she was this perfect person, which she is really great. But even a perfect person who's really great doesn't fulfill, you know, the need that a human being has for love, because you know, we need to feel loved by God, and so I think, like, the way I felt then, like, as a teenager, young adult, like, believing that this person would fulfill every single desire instantly that I had. Like, I could go back and tell that younger version of myself, like, hey, you're wrong about this, but
They wouldn't believe you.
Well, there was, like, already people telling me that.
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily, like, it wasn't like a Christmas Carol, like, a ghost of Christmas past that was
Yeah.
coming and telling me, but like I knew that stuff. Not even just someone specifically telling it to me, but like hearing it in teachings or whatever. And so I think coming to that point where my conception, my idea of how things are not matching reality, and like being forced to change my mind, like I wouldn't change that because that's how you really learn, I guess. So yeah, it's not really a lot I change in my life. Maybe a little bit taller. But yeah, that wasn't exactly your question. But
Yeah. So I was just thinking as we were talking about that, was that hard for Elena when you guys got married? Like, if you came into the marriage with, she's perfect.
Well, I think we
or
worked.
Like all of my needs.
We
will
worked
be met.
that all out the like 2 times we broke up.
Okay.
While dating.
Sometimes that's what you need.
Yep. Yeah. We worked all that out. Or I worked that out within myself.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's interesting that you wouldn't do or say anything for a younger you, because I think about that quite a bit. And I think I would go back and tell myself not anything of like trying to change my mind. Well, maybe about anything, but I definitely would like give myself a hug. And I would tell myself like, you don't feel like you belong, and that's because you don't belong here. You like belong to God, or you don't belong on this earth. And I don't know what it would have meant to me, but I could like through Renew and everything, I can definitely think back to little Jerra, and she definitely needed a hug and to be told like everything's okay and there's a reason you feel this way and it's not weird, to just have that affirmation. But that's probably because I didn't have someone telling me that.
Well, that's kind of what Renew is it's time travel.
Yeah, to go back and tell yourself that. Yeah.
Because a part of yourself is still stuck in the past. And so bringing the truth to that part of yourself is kind of like
Doing that,
yeah, time travel.
but I still would want to really do it. But I think I'd also be like, Jerra, what are you doing with your life now? And then I'd say I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I'd be like, you should be a doctor.
Yeah, but like, this is a great question. Philosophically, does the past exist?
Like currently? Well, of course it does, because Back to the Future. Wait, no, what?
But
did he go back? Did he go to the future? No, he went to the past.
Yeah,
so the past has to be there for you to go back to it.
Solid logic.
It's proven in science. So is that like if the tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound? Is that like that, or?
That could be a version of it, yeah. I think it's like...
Do you feel like the past exists?
I think it does.
Do you feel like people exist?
But it's an interesting like thought experiment of like, I have memories of the past and I was there, right? But I only believe I was there because I have memories. So it's like I could have been created 3 seconds ago just with all those memories.
The last Thursday theory.
Yeah, last Thursdayism or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that the whole world was created last Thursday and we were downloaded with all our memories.
Yeah.
But I feel like you being contemplation.
Contemplative?
Like something being a whole person made up of your past proves that there is a past. Like you have scars and like you have things that have informed you that proves that there was a past.
Yeah. I mean, I think we kind of just, that's one of those things that like I don't think you can prove, but you can't be sane and not accept it. But like specifically like with memories, it is interesting to think of like, and we kind of, I think, experience this in Renew Ministry. Your view of a memory is your view. It's not actually it's not like a video recording of it. It's not unbiased. It's not like, obviously memories are visual, or at least some sort of sense is involved. but that doesn't mean that it's like an empirical observation of it.
Yeah. So with that, when I was pregnant with Gwen, I just did not like the way Josh smelled. I could not stand it. And it was getting so bad that I was concerned that he was going to die because he had some sort of like disease that I'm smelling. And so he needs to go to the doctor. He needs to do something because like he smells like ammonia or just something awful. And so I kept telling him, you need to go to the doctor. There's something wrong. I'm so worried for you. You're going to die. I'm going to have this baby and like raise it by myself. And as we were like going through that and I'm still pregnant, it was the whole pregnancy, it started to affect my memories. So when I thought back to our relationship, even when we were dating, I could smell him then too. Like I did not like the way he smelled. And so I started to tell myself, well, I've never liked the way he smelled. Yeah, I can remember that when he smelled so bad and I couldn't stand it. And then I started to like panic because if it was true then and it's true now, then how can we move forward in this marriage? And it like was getting really bad. And then I had the baby and then I could like correctly remember how things were. But it was mind blowing because I remembered that he smelled bad. Mm-hmm. And that just was not true. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that was.
We don't think you smell bad, Josh.
I don't think. Well, now, again, with this pregnancy.
Occasionally you smell bad, Josh. Like everybody.
But that was so bizarre.
Yeah, that is.
Have you had, like, things change? Because I know,
well,
like, witnesses, if, you know, somebody informs your memory, you can like remember something that never happened.
Yeah. My biggest problem is that I can't keep me and Josh's memories straight. Because like there's a lot of things that like we were told as kids, like, hey, this thing happened when you were younger. And that's one way to form memories. Like you're not actually forming a memory. Like whatever image you have in your head didn't exist, but you sort of create a memory. And I just can't keep straight which one of those things happened to Josh or which ones happened to me. But then I don't think he can keep it straight either.
No, he can't.
And like our family kind of forgets too, so I don't know. There's multiple examples of that. What were we talking about? We were talking about just last night.
Who broke their arm? Or their leg?
Yeah. Who broke their arm? But I thought it was something else. I mean,
smashed their finger.
Oh, yeah. Who smashed their finger at Kennedy High School? Mm-hmm. When New Life Community Church used to meet there, one of us got our finger smashed in the door. And Josh claims it was him. I think it probably was him. I don't know why I thought it was me. But then I think we talked about this on the last podcast. The Captain Crunch dream. Pretty sure we talked about it on the last podcast, but I am like as certain as I possibly can be that I'm the one who had the dream and Josh did not. So
he believes it the opposite way.
Yeah, but not as much conviction as I feel.
He probably just doesn't care. Well, I don't think I have any more questions for you. Do you feel like there's anything you want to talk about or how long have you been going, Nathan?
It is 8 o'clock right now.
Oh, wow. That's been a long time.
So probably an hour and a half. This is good. I don't have anything necessarily to talk about, but it'd be nice to tell our viewers what our plan is for the rest of the podcasts.
Yeah, what is it?
I have no idea. So, we...
Oh.
Yep, storm's just hit.
The storm just hit. In case you were wondering. Which you won't even know what storm we're talking about by the time you watch this episode. We plan on interviewing more people from New Life Community Church.
That's our business plan, is to interview people from our church.
Yep.
Well, I've talked to, one of our guests is going to be Blade Molinex. But I've talked to some people who have interest in coming on the podcast, and they have really interesting and really cool stories. So I'm really looking forward to that. But honestly, I'm looking forward to when we start talking more about like marriage and family and like couples and stuff. But I'm also really excited for getting to know people as individuals.
Should we do another podcast with me interviewing you, Jerra?
I don't care to, but I feel like Maria would care.
Specifically Maria.
Yeah, we could do it for Maria. I don't know if I'm doing anything new in my life.
Well, I feel like we didn't even cover a lot of your past. I feel like I'd have to
My
go
checkered
back.
past.
I'd have to go back and listen to it, but I feel like there's still a lot we could cover there. So
I wouldn't go back to listen to it.
maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll just interview more people. But
Yeah. Well, at some point we can do an update because I am very excited about the baby we're having, and I'm very much interested in parenting and doing it right, whatever that means, and trying my best and like being intentional is really important to me. And so I could probably go on and on about that. And yeah, I feel like I've learned some things recently and like have grown some. It just doesn't seem really interesting.
well, most people think they're not very interesting, but I think this podcast has proven that's not true.
Which is crazy. Joe, would you say though, because you have the vision for this podcast and like what you wanted for it, what you saw for it, would you say we've been doing that, or has it become something else that you didn't expect and you're just fine with that? Or
No, I feel like it's pretty much what I wanted it to be. Yeah, I think just getting people more interested in listening to people they know and others in the church. I think that's what my goal was, and I feel like it's been being accomplished. So
I really appreciated how big and small that goal was. Because like a lot of people, namely me, would be like, let's get it out to the world. Let's change the world, do a big thing. But you just wanted to introduce your church to your church and didn't really have much other plans outside of that. So I really appreciate that because I feel like it's such a humble, doable, and like kind goal. Like it shows that you value the people that go here.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, thank you for interviewing me today, Jerra.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a good rest of your day, night, whatever. We're
See
going
you
to try
later.
and get home safe.
Yep.